So YouTube, wagwan, hope you guys are doing well and staying blessed up. In today's video, I want to break down how you can actually overcome your fear of sales, how you actually finally overcome that, because I know exactly what it's like going on calls and jumping on calls and just about to, when you're about to click Zoom and you've got a brand in your calendar and you're just about to go talk to them and the business owner, you feel like you're in over your head. I'm going to show you exactly how you overcome that fear, maintain that fear, handle and manage that fear so you can actually overcome that fear and actually get the close at the end. Now, without any, further ado, guys, please do me a huge favor. That's all I ask for, because this video is going to set you free. You're going to want to refer back to this video over and over again, and this is some of the points that I actually teach in my 4-week mentorship program as well. If you're interested in that, just literally drop me a DM, which is a program where you get to work with me one-on-one. It's an intensive program. It's very intimate. It's just me and you on Zoom, going over your business live. And again, it's a live one-on-one coaching. It's no pre-recorded type of course. It's literally one-on-one. You get to get to work with me. I get to work with you. We build your agency. It's a done with you program basically. So guys, if you're new here, please drop me a like, comment and subscribe. That's all I ask for in return for these videos. It really does help me out, so do me a massive favor and please subscribe and hit that notification bell. That being said, guys, let's jump into this. By the way, if you see me looking over here, it's just because I have my computer in front of me and I'm just gonna kind of I've taken a couple notes for you guys. So if you see me looking over here, just forgive me. Guys, me guys, the production quality of these videos are not the greatest. It's just literally me sat in here just talking, I guess, my thoughts at the top of my head and what I've actually really been going through in SMA. And you'll see as well in this particular video that I genuinely am and do what I say I do, because I know you're gonna feel some of these points, and you can only feel this if you've gone through it. So let's actually break this down. So first and foremost, guys, I want you to understand fear, and I'm pretty sure you've heard this cliche saying that fear is, false evidence appearing real. That's literally what it is. Your brain races and makes up stuff that does not yet exist. And what it's basically doing there is it's trying to, I guess, avoid you from going down a route that it thinks is dangerous and life-threatening. Now, this sounds absolutely insane, because that a sales call is not going to kill you. How are you gonna die on a sales call unless somebody can shoot a gun through the friggin' computer or some shit like that? That's obviously not going to happen. What I want to break down to you though, guys, is it feels like you're going to friggin' die. It feels like your heart rate is just pumping, your palms go sweaty, you get that gut feeling, your voice starts to lock up, your voice starts to tremble as well, you start getting sweaty, all that sort of stuff. Now that's a fight or flight response. Now the reason for that, guys, is because throughout the human, I guess, evolutionary period, we've gone from cavemen to obviously where we're at right now with friggin' we're like space monkeys particular. We're still monkeys, but we're space bearing monkeys at this particular point. Elon Musk trying to take us all the way out to Mars and stuff like that. Shout out to Elon if he ever watches these videos. I love you, dude. But anyway, long story short, guys, the fear comes from learning and past experience. And what I mean by that is the cavemen kind of went through a tribal phase where they were hunter-gatherers. And I'm pretty sure you've heard these stories before. If not, this is kind of what's happened, and where the actual fear is deep embedded into our subconscious, into our reptilian brain, if you will. This is where the fear comes from. Now, the fear is actually of rejection. You feel that fear of rejection so badly. So what I'm trying to say here, guys, is that back in the day when we were cavemen, if you was in a tribe, you had more chance of surviving, because there's more, manpower to take down, I don't know, woolly mammoths or some shit like that, in order for you to obviously gather food, gather resources and stuff like that. Now, if you get rejected out of the actual tribe, you're left on your own. That then leads to colder nights, because you're not cuddling up with people. It leads to less resources, less food, less manpower, and all of that sort of stuff. So it can actually lead to death. Right now, obviously, we are in the 21st century, so that fear has actually kind of evolved over 1,000 years. And don't forget, guys, that we've only really been technologically advanced for the last 100, 200, 300, 400 years. It's not that very long when you think about it. I'm talking about millions of years of evolution from Australopithecus, I believe it's actually called, and Homo erectus and stuff like that, all the way up into Homo sapien. And don't quote me on those names. I'm throwing some information out that I've actually read and stuff like that throughout the years, but you guys get the idea. We've gone through all this evolutionary phase, and now we're only just starting to use computers in the last second or something like that on the actual calendar. If you used to take a calendar and kind of just break it down into a year's calendar, I'm pretty sure we'd only have computers for the last 2 or 3 days, if that. So as you can see, all this is relatively new to us, but our brain still thinks we're still living in that caveman sort of time, where if we get rejected, it thinks that we're going to miss out on food opportunities and end up ultimately dying because of that. Now, that is kind of like where the fear comes from. Let me break down the actual points on how to overcome this. First and foremost, fear is, again, an illusionary state of mind. And what I mean by that is literally your brain will make up shit that does not yet exist. What if that person says this? What if they ask me this question? What if I don't know the answer to this thing? All of those things are literally things that you are projecting is going to happen. If you actually break it down in layman's terms, it's actually a very smart thing to do, because your brain is kind of like optimizing and kind of taking like the least dangerous path. But again, there is no danger behind this. You're not going to die, no one's going to hurt you. So what I want you to break down here real quick, guys, if you see me looking over here, because I got notes. Number one is you're never actually going to feel ready for sales calls. You're never going to feel ready for SMMA. You're never going to feel ready to be an entrepreneur. You're never going to feel ready for anything big in your life. It's against your character. And what I mean by this, guys, is throughout your life, you're learning and accumulating experiences. So for example, if you've tried cold calling before or tried sales before, you may have had some negative experiences in the past. It doesn't even matter what you've done in life. You may label yourself as a failure, or you may label yourself as you're okay but you're not that great, so you're never going to achieve great results. Everybody pretty much thinks like that. Now that's what you call being stuck in your old character. You actually need to kill that character, figuratively speaking. Nobody go and hurt themselves, but you actually need to kill that character in order to become a new character. Now what I recommend you guys do is use what you call the force of future technique. That basically means you basically kind of sit down and you ask yourself, if you was to be successful right now, to picture yourself in 5 years, you're successful right now and you've made your 10 million or whatever it is a year, you're already hitting that. How and what are the characteristics of that person? How did they get there? What sort of characteristics do they have? What do they need? What do they look like? How do they dress? How do they speak? What's their confidence level like? Obviously those are probably going to be like all 10s out of 10s in terms of like, they need to be top notch in order to be able to do that, and obviously get a lot of clients and stuff like that. So what you need to do is you need to then in your present moment start acting in accordance with that future person that you've now created and you're aiming to. And this is kind of like going into, I guess if you read a book called like Reality Transurfing and stuff like that, it starts going into like switching lifelines and stuff like that. I won't get into all of that. Like I guess I wouldn't even say that's wacky stuff. He actually proved that the actual author actually proved that with quantum physics, I believe it was. But that book's actually absolutely crazy. But what I'm trying to say here, guys, is that you need to act in accordance to the person that you want to be in the future in order to then get that said future. That's exactly what you have to do. So you're never going to feel ready for it, so you're going to have to break your old character to become a new character. Now that we've got that done, the second thing I want to break down is that you probably never overcome the fear. If I'm being honest with you, even if you install all of those characteristics, you never actually will probably get over this fear. Now when I say this, it kind of sounds like that line from like the Avengers, I believe it is, where they're asking like Bruce Banner how he's calm and he doesn't just turn into Hulk all the time. And his secret to this is that he's just angry all the time. I remember that. I kind of remember that in one of the films. Don't quote me on that again. I probably butchered that. But he literally says that he's like angry all the secret to him controlling Hulk is that he's actually angry all the time. So with this, it kind of reminds me of that, because like the fear actually doesn't go. You just get better at handling it. So the anger for Bruce Banner doesn't actually go. He just gets better at handling it. So it's exactly like that with your sales calls. So just remember that and keep that in the back of your mind. So there's no actual kind of like way to get rid of the fear. You just become a bigger person. The fear is still there. You just become a bigger person. You become bigger than the fear. If, for example, you're a character right now and the fear is bigger than you, you're just gonna have to grow into a person that's bigger than the actual fear. Kind of sounds weird saying that on camera and saying it out loud, but that's literally what I've had to do and had to go through. And believe me, back in the day when I was in university, I would used to skip all of my presentations in front of the class because I was scared. I literally even made up a lie one time with my friend Vincent. If you're watching this, shout out to you. He literally remember this. I tell this to all of my students when I teach them the sales call stuff in week 3. I tell them that back in university time, there was a time where we was doing like a lecture, and we had to do a presentation as part of our assignment, and I literally googled how do you get out of a university presentation, and it said that the only way you can really do that is if you have like a medical note or you have a medical emergency. So Vincent used to wear eye contact lenses, and it was a 2-month ordeal, this presentation. You literally couldn't do it without the second person. So we made up that his contact lens ripped in his eye and like almost digged into his cornea or whatever it is, his iris or some shit like that. We actually got out of that. Sounds kind of smart, but it's not really smart, because I literally just bitched out of doing a presentation because I was that scared. I'm not even joking, guys. And now I've gone on to close like multiple 7-figure business owners and stuff like that, and close a whole bunch of clients. So anyway, guys, long story short, you're never gonna feel like you're ready, so you're gonna have to get over it straight away and break your old character and form into a new one. The second thing is, You don't actually overcome the fear, you just learn how to deal with it better. The third thing I want to actually break down as well is that I want you guys to really listen to this one, because this one really helped me. Like, this one is the one that I guess pushed me further the most and like helped me overcome the fear the most. And again, I still get the fear, I just learn how to handle it at this particular point. And I want you guys to actually hear me say that, because I know some of you guys, I don't know why you guys look up to me. I guess it's just because I'm on YouTube and I'm doing this SMA stuff and getting some decent results with it as well, and living a very good life. I've never had to work a job in my life, thank God for that. Upgraded, moved out into my own apartment, I guess. And yeah, life's pretty blessed. So thank you very much. I'm very humble for you guys for obviously looking up to me and stuff like that. But I want you guys to understand that I'm also a normal person. I still feel the fear, and I know that a lot of students, when I tell them that, it actually helps them break the fear as well. So hopefully that's kind of helped you with that. Anyway, this third point is what you call the 7 why strategy. The 7 why strategy goes like this. You sit down and you start thinking to yourself, I'm scared. You actually just admit, I'm scared of sales calls. Then you ask yourself, okay, so why am I scared of sales calls? You then come up with a reason, such as, I'm scared if they ask me something I don't know an answer to. You then write down, okay, so what sort of questions is it that I'm scared of them actually asking? What genuinely are the specific questions that they're gonna ask me that I'm scared to answer? And that answer would probably be something on the lines of, do you have results to show that you've previously done this for a business in our particular niche? That's where you go and get a media buyer. So this is point number 4. So the 7 why strategy is point number 3, where you kind of sit down and you ask yourself why. You answer your own questions, as in you ask yourself, why are you scared of sales calls? You literally just ask yourself that. Then you will figure out that, oh, it's because I'm scared of being asked a question I don't know the answer to. Then you go to yourself, okay, so what questions am I actually specifically scared of being asked? Then you identify those questions. Then what you do is you ask yourself, how can I answer these questions in a suitable and satisfactory way to these people? You then figure that out, and most of the time that's going to lead you to point number 4. And again, that's the 7 why strategy. Point number 4 leads me on to the next point, which is you actually want to have a very solid service in place that you can deliver, or you have a media buyer in place with an onboarding process in place as well. Because I know what it's like when you're just about to jump on a call, when you're very first getting started with SMA and you have a sales call and you're ready to close a client. Well, you feel like you're ready to close your client, but you also feel at the back of your head you're just not ready, and it feels like you're going to be a scam. I know exactly what this feels like, guys. And this is what you call imposter syndrome. And what I mean, and what it basically is telling you, is that it's almost like you're trying something new, and because you've not done it before, your body kind of like fights against you, and it makes you feel like a scam. Because think about it, you're brand new to SMA, you're trying to close clients for 2K a month. Who on earth are you to be charging anybody 2K a month when this is a business owner who's already making a lot of money to obviously afford to pay you 2K a month? How do you have the audacity to charge that? That's called imposter syndrome. You have to get over that. I've made a whole other video on this on my channel. The quickest way to get over imposter syndrome is to literally just put an expert in your agency that you know is going to deliver the results for you, and you obviously want to make sure you can actually speak the lingo of your particular niche. You can speak the language of your service across, and you can actually get that across as well effectively to people. And what I mean by this, guys, is when you have a media buyer, and for example, if you're going to close an e-commerce client, you have this like really kick-ass media buyer by your side, ready to rumble, and you have your onboarding process in place. You feel like all the next steps are aligned, so all you have to do now is close the client, and then you literally get them onboarded. And again, this onboarding process as well is very important, because it makes you feel like at the back of your head, even when I do close a client, I now know what to do next. Because sometimes there was calls back in the day when I didn't really have like an onboarding process or anything like that, or like my systems were a little bit shaky, where I would get on a call, but even if I did close them, I still wouldn't have known what to do. So make sure your next steps after the sales call are very just outlined and clear and all set up. And make sure you have your onboarding process in place first, which is kind of why I do recommend you outsource. You find a team member first, and you build your onboarding process first, because then now you've got everything you need to actually land the client and take their money, and then take them and get them onboarded, and then deliver the results. So that's another point. The 5th point I want to break down to you guys is you want to actually reframe no's. This one I'm going to keep short. Reframing no's basically means don't actually fear no's anymore. I want you to read a book called, I believe it's called Never Split the Difference. Yeah, it's actually called Never Split the Difference. Go and read that book, and in that book it teaches you that no doesn't actually mean no 99.9% of the times. It just means no, they're not comfortable with your deal yet, or they're not comfortable with a certain thing that you've said in a sales call. No's are actually good. You actually want no's. It's yeses that are actually dangerous, and this actually explains it in the book. I won't explain it too much here, but I want you to go and read that book. 100% go and read that book. But no's basically actually open up the conversation for negotiation. So no's are actually a good thing. So you definitely want to make sure that you kind of reframe no's. Don't be scared of no's, and actually accept no's and actually hunt for no's. In the book, it actually recommends you actually go after no's. It's a really good book. I won't ruin it for you guys, but definitely go and read that book. And the funny thing about kind of like hunting for no's and accepting no's is that you it kind of just dispels its power. Because now, for example, and think about it, when you're on a sales call, the most, I guess, shocking thing you can hear and the most scary thing you can hear is, no, we don't want to work with you. When you hear that, guys, that is it's gonna feel like a shock. But then when you actually can kind of sit there and start reframing the no, it just takes all the power away from the fear, basically. And you've kind of like gone to the root source of the fear and just literally taking its heart out. And just, hey, if I'm being honest with you guys. Point number 6 and 7 are to do with your mental capacity and mental abilities. Guys, I'm not joking. I didn't really believe in all this woo-woo stuff, but literally, positive affirmations and mental rehearsal are extremely important in sales. Here's what I actually teach my students. Take your sales script, and I actually want you to actually mentally rehearse for 15 minutes each day. You actually on a sales call, and the call is not actually going your way. I want you to then pretend you're actually genuinely on a sales call with somebody. They're asking you very difficult questions that you're scared of being asked, and then you're going to answer those questions. But what you're going to do, guys, again, is you're going to pretend that you're going to literally just sit there in your chair, maybe put some binaural beats in or whatever it is you guys kind of like meditate to. You then want to mentally rehearse yourself on a sales call, but you want to actually rehearse it as if the call's going badly. I want you to actually rehearse the negative bits of the sales call, as in like they're really grilling you, they're pulling up so many objections, they're asking you and just trying to kind of like shred apart your case studies, they're just asking you for all these case studies and proof and this and that. I want you to actually picture yourself on that call and what you would say and handle it, and eventually keep doing that over and over again. What's going to happen is you're going to mentally practice that thousands of times over in your head. So when it actually pops up in real life, you've practiced it and you already know what to say in real life anyway, because the brain can't actually distinguish what's real from what's like imaginary. So you might as well practice in your, I guess, your mental state in your own head, if you will, and that's actually going to translate in real life world experience. And again, there's actually a scientific study on this where I'm pretty sure you guys know, there was a scientist that took a basketball team and split into 3 teams. One team, I guess, they physically practice free throws from the free throw line, of course. One team, and that was for like 30 days or something like that, don't quote me on that. Then the second team, or should I say group of that one particular team, so they took a big team, split into 3 subgroups, A, B, and C. A practiced physically, B practiced mentally, and C did no practice. They were like the control group. A actually improved, I believe it was like, they improved their free throw percentage by like 23% overall. Group B, which did no physical practice, but they literally just mentally rehearsed themselves and just literally sat there and kind of like closed their eyes and just mentally rehearsed. They actually improved 22%. There was only 1% difference between group A and group B. And actually go and Google that because it's actually a real study. So those 2 things are really powerful, especially affirmations as well. In the morning times, what I've actually started doing, I guess, I believe it was like a couple months ago or something like that. I used to do this before, but then I stopped. And then I'm redoing it just because I feel like it's amazing practice. Whenever I meditate instead, so you can do affirmations in your meditation and then you can do mental practice. So those would be 2 separate things you would want to do in a day. So it's 30 minutes. I'm pretty sure if you not scroll on Instagram for 30 minutes, you can help yourself in terms of your sales stuff. So anywho, guys, what you want to do is you want to mentally do affirmations as well. So you want to sit in your chair with your meditation music on or whatever it is you guys listen to again. And this time you're going to do something different. This is where you literally tell yourself you are the best salesperson in the world. It sounds crazy and it sounds kind of egotistical, but literally what I like to do is I literally just sit there and tell myself every day in every way I'm getting better and better at sales. Every day in every way I'm improving in sales. I am the best salesperson. I literally say there's a particular affirmation that I actually use and I actually say to myself, which goes like this, something on lines of this. It's by the way, I've recorded this and I actually have it on my computer stored, so I can actually just listen back, and I recommend you do that. And the affirmation kind of goes like this: I can easily handle any objection thrown at me at any time, which allows me to close any sales call at any time. I am a true sales beast. That's literally all I say over and over and over and over and over again, and literally actually genuinely works, and you'll start feeling more confident. So the last couple of points here, guys, is to also get a lot of actual real world practice in on actual sales calls. You also want to practice your script on Zoom. This is the big one, guys. What you want to do is whenever you have a sales call, an actual sales call, you want to record that and listen back to it. You're going to pick up a lot of stuff. The second thing, and again, that's going to lead to confidence, because you're going to feel more competent listening to yourself and finding your errors and correcting them and improving as you go along. Another thing you want to do, guys, is you also want to open up Zoom. This is the best thing about Zoom. You can actually sit there on Zoom. You can actually open up the app and you can record your own voice talking to literally nobody. And you can literally role play yourself going through the sales script and stuff like that. And, actually record that and actually, take notes and improve yourself upon that. Another point as well, you can obviously get a peer or somebody who you trust and who's your friend, and you guys can role play like that. And guys, the very last point, I guess, I don't know what point this is, but on my sheet it says point number 10. I believe I may have skipped some, but I kind of interweeded them into all this other stuff anyway. But point number 10 is to have your goals and desires burn into you so badly that something like fear, it's just not good enough. That's how badly you should want this. That should have been point number 1, if I'm being honest with you. You should want your goals so badly that something like fearing a sales call or fearing another person is just nowhere near a big enough obstacle for it to stop you, basically. So guys, those are just a couple points, I guess 10 points. I tried to keep this one short, but you know me, I'm always blabbling on. I'm actually giving you some real stuff here, especially the 7 why strategy and the affirmations. Those two, if you use those, you will be deadly. Again, read a lot of books as well on sales and just learn a lot of sales techniques. And I'm telling you guys, you will be a beast at sales. For me, there was a time where I literally just dedicated 90 days just reading sales book after sales book. I didn't watch anything on YouTube other than sales. And if I caught myself watching something on YouTube that wasn't sales related, I would turn it off and put something salesy on, as in like learning actual sales stuff. And I'm telling you, that really helped. And that was like beginning of my SMA journey when I didn't really know what sales was and how to handle sales. That being said, guys, I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope you guys can overcome your fear of sales, because I'm telling you, it's almost as if, I'm not even joking, it's almost as if life is set up where the good things of life are over this fear barrier. I'm pretty sure, and that there's a quote that kind of goes hand in hand with this, kind of a morbid quote, that like, I think the quote goes, everybody wants to get to heaven, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And that basically means that like over the other side of the fence, basically, and this fence is, this huge wall of fear, over that fence is just blissfulness. And I guess that's where that actual saying, comes from. Guys, that's just something for you guys to think about. Hope you guys can overcome your fear soon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.